Hi everybody, welcome to this Learn Revit API course for beginners. In this first lesson, I want to introduce you to Revit API with pyRevit. And we're going to talk about what is Revit API, what are the benefits of using it. Then I'm going to show you Revit API in action so you understand how to apply it. And this is a must-watch section of the video as you will get the most out of it. Then we'll talk about why pyRevit and not the C# and why today is the best time to start coding. And also keep in mind that this first module is going to be free for everyone, so I can help as many people to get started as possible. And I'm re-recording this whole module for the 4th time, so this time it's going to be perfect. This course was designed for Revit users who are not afraid of programming. And I'm super excited to guide you on this journey. And I will do my best to make it as simple as possible for you to get started and provide all necessary resources in the very end of this video. And we're going to start with a very basic question. What the hell is Revit API? API stands for Application Programming Interface. In simple terms, it's a documented set of instructions written by the developer of an application to share pieces of functionality of the software. So Revit API allows developers like us to extend functionality of the Revit with custom add-ins. It might sound confusing, but I will explain it very simple and visual in just a moment. It will all make sense, I promise you that. But before that, let's talk about the benefits of learning Revit API. Why would you want to learn it in the first place? And you want to learn Revit API because first of all, it's gonna allow you to automate your repetitive and boring tasks. You will also be able to create custom tools for your office and create all the workflows that suit your specific needs. And also, you'll be able to integrate with other software as well. How many times have you installed a Revit add-in and it wasn't exactly what you wanted? And what if you could create your own add-in to suit your specific needs? Wouldn't that be amazing? And we used to spend a lot of time to learn how to do that, like months before you could start using Revit API. But AI tools and pyRevit has reduced this barrier of entry by really a lot. And don't take my word for this, check out what others say. For example, Anthony just said that he's been using pyRevit for about 2 years and it took him 2 months to create his first Revit add-in. But his colleague discovered my free videos a couple months ago and he created his first in a week. And now they use my videos for training. And this was before I made these amazing free resources that will make it even faster and easier to get started, which you will get by the end of this lesson. And also, let me show you Revit API in action, so you can actually understand what's the value of learning Revit API and how we can apply it. Imagine this, every time you do anything in Revit, there is code running in the background. For example, if you would want to create a wall in Revit UI, you would click here on the wall button, and then you would select 2 points from here to here. And you pretty much have your wall with the default wall type, height, level, and so on. But if you were to create it with Revit API, you would need to open Revit API documentation, then have a look for the wall class, and then inside of it, we would need to find one of the methods on how to create it. There are a few variations depending on what kind of wall you want to create, but this one is going to be more than enough. Then in here, we would have to look at all the necessary arguments, which we can see right here. We need the document, we need the curve, level ID, and structural Boolean parameter. Alright, then when you know about all the necessary arguments, we can go back to Revit and actually write a little code snippet together. And listen, this is just an example, you don't have to follow me along, just sit back and have a look what I do, and I will explain it along the way. As you see, I already prepared a button right here, and here's the code inside of it. Inside this is very basic template. There's the name of the button and the author, a few imports that we have to make, variables. Then we're gonna get our active view and level, but using doc active view and level. And then in here, we can create our wall. And to do that, we need to make a few things. First of all, we need to create a transaction to make changes in our Revit project. Because with Revit API, we cannot change anything unless we start and commit a transaction. And now we're gonna write the code here to create our wall. And it's not gonna be complicated. Because you see, we need to get our active level. And we can get it from document active view gen level. Then we need to define coordinates for the line. And first of all, we need to define our start and end points. And then with these 2 points, we can create a line. Now, by this point, we have everything that we need to create a wall. Because as we've seen in the Revit API documentation, we need a document, which is our project. We need a curve, which is our line. Then we need the element ID of the level. And we need the Boolean, is it structural or not? So this is how we will do. We'd write this line here where a new wall is going to be wall, create, and we'll provide all these arguments. We have our doc, line, active level ID, and we don't want to make it structural. Now, when we're going to click on the button, it's going to create a new wall. And listen, I understand that that doesn't seem much easier because we had to make all of this just to create one wall. But let's imagine that you want to create an overview of all your wall types in the project. And this would look something like this. For example, if you would do this manually, you'd probably create a wall somewhere, then you would kind of take it and start copying it many times. Or maybe you would even create an array and set it, okay, I have maybe like 10 different wall types. Then I would have to go manually and set all the different types to each of these walls. Then after that, probably you would want to also adjust the spacing so it looks a little bit nicer and it's not so far away from each other. And on top of that, let's say that I also want to have all the wall type names next to them. So I would have to go here and go one by one. Here is the first type name, I would make a text, put it somewhere here. Then I will take the second one, take all this text and put it here. And you can see how really quick this becomes a very boring and repetitive task. And it also means that it's prone to human errors. Because let's be honest, we humans, we suck at repetitive tasks. So this is why Revit API is going to be far better option for this. And let's have a look now, how would we do exactly the same thing but with Revit API. And again, this is going to be an example. I'm going to go very fast, just so you get an idea. You don't have to understand the code yet. We'll have the rest of the course for that. So we already have a button right here, which I'm going to use. And you're also going to learn about this in the next lessons of this first module. Now, let's remove everything that we've done just to create one wall. And we're just going to have this kind of transaction, because we still need to use it when we're going to make changes to our project. But this time, first of all, I want to get all my wall types. And it's actually not hard. I'm just going to use filtered element collector, provide our project. I will look for all elements of the class wall type. I'm going to turn it into a list of elements. Then after that, we need to define our start and end point for the first wall. And then we're going to keep iterating and changing the coordinates for all the other walls. And to do that, first of all, we're going to define the point start. We're going to ask user to pick a point. We're going to use UI doc, selection, and then there is a method called pick point. When user is going to select the kind of starting selection point, we're going to also define our endpoint. And in here, we're just going to take the point start coordinate X, Y, and Z. I'm going to add 10 feet to the X. And also keep in mind that Revit API uses feet as internal units. So if you work with metric, which I do personally, you would also have to convert it to the feet. But for this example, it's relevant. Then I'll also define here a gap, the distance between all the walls that we're going to place. And we're going to define the first Y coordinate. Because when we will be creating our walls, we're going to create first one here. Then we're going to change the Y so it's under this, under, and we're going to put all the walls one after another. Now, after that, we can go in transaction and actually start creating our wall types. And to do that, we're going to iterate for each wall type in a list of all wall types. Then we're going to adjust Y coordinate for equal spacing between the walls. And since when we're placing the walls, we have our middle line in the middle of the wall, we also need to account for the half of the width plus the gap. And after that, we need to create a line for each of the walls. And for that, we need to define new start and end points and turn them into a line. And here you can see that we will always use the same points for the start and end points for the X and Z coordinates. However, we're going to be changing our Y coordinate because we want to put wall, after the wall, and so on. Therefore, we only change the Y coordinate right here. And lastly, when we have our line, we can create a wall similar to the first example, but this time we're going to have different lines for each one of them. We're also going to change the wall type for each one of them. So we have one wall for each of the types we have in the project. Then lastly, we're going to again adjust the Y coordinate, so we move half the thickness of the wall, so we are outside of the wall for the next iteration. And on top of that, if you would want to create our text node, for example, we could write code like this. This will create a text node with wall type next to the wall. You can see in here that first of all, we're going to get the wall type by using element name get value and provide the wall type. Then we're going to get our default text type ID by using this get default element type ID. And then we're going to define the point for our text node. We're just going to create new XYZ coordinate, and we're just going to take the end coordinate and add the gap so it's a little bit outside of the wall. And we're going to just adjust Y so it's a little bit higher so it's in the correct placement. And to create a new text, we can use text create doc, we need active view, we need a point, we need wall type name, and we need our text type ID. Alright, and now we have the complete script. We can go back to Revit and try it out. And let's have a look how it looks. You know that manually that will take ages, and it's very likely we're going to make some mistakes in there. But with this button, we're going to click on it, then we have to select a point, because this is what we wrote in the script. And then look at that. We have placed every single wall type in the project one after another. They all have the same gap between them, and they all have the correct wall type name. And there is absolutely no space for any errors because we have taken the human error completely out of this equation. It's all up to our script, and we define the logic that nothing can go wrong in here. And listen, there's no need for you to rewrite this code. It's just an example so you get an idea what is Revit API and why you should learn it and how useful it can be. Yes, there are a few Revit API concepts that you should know, but I will teach you all of them during this course. And it will be very simple to do it on your own once you have the basics. And to be fair, I'm sure that you can create exactly this tool with the help of ChatGPT. You don't even need to know really well Python on Revit API. You just need to tell it what you want to do and keep asking and asking until it fixes all the errors. You kind of go back and forth, and I'm 100% sure that you can achieve exactly the same result. And listen, maybe I'm gonna show you how to do exactly this tool with the help of ChatGPT, pretending that I don't know anything about Python or Revit API. You can let me know down in the comments or the community, and maybe I'm gonna make this lesson. But for now, let's go back to the presentation, because we are not done yet. So I hope that it helped you to connect the different dots, and now you understand what's the value of using Revit API and Python to automate your boring work. And don't worry if not, it's just the first lesson and we're just warming up. I will explain you all the concepts you need to know in the next lessons during this course and in all the other modules. But for now, let's talk about why start with Python and not the C#. And this is a very common question for any Revit user who wants to dive into Revit API. And listen, as a Revit user interested in learning Revit API, you'll be standing there in the middle deciding whether you want to go with the Python route or with the C# route. And there's no right or wrong answers, but my honest recommendation is to always start with Python, and if you ever need to, you can always switch to C#. You're gonna still retain all the knowledge about Revit API and programming concepts, but just syntax gonna change, a little bit logic because C# is more dependent on object-oriented programming. But the reason for you to get started with Python is first of all because of the ease of learning. Python has a clean and intuitive syntax, which makes it easier for beginners to pick it up, and it's also very forgiving. It's perfect for busy Revit users who have no time for computer science degree and who want to start really quick. Python is also much faster at prototyping. Python is dynamically typed, and you can code much quicker and have more readable code, which also makes it much easier to maintain and also much easier to start. And there is no need to restart Revit to update something after you make changes in your code. And also, it's just crazy the amount of samples that you're gonna have at your hand. Because you see, pyRevit is open source, which means we can read every single line of every tool included in pyRevit, but also in additional extensions like EF tools. And not only that, you can still search for pyRevit on GitHub and you're gonna find 240 results of different extensions. There are just so many extensions out there that you never have to start from scratch. Just have a look around, open the scripts and try to learn something, or still like an artist. Take one or two snippets, put it in your scripts, try to adjust to your own needs, and that's how we all start with pyRevit. We just take something that works and then we try to modify it to our own needs. And again, tools like ChatGPT is gonna help you a lot during that. But you see, C# also has its advantages. It's true that it's more efficient than Python, but when you hear that C# is 100% faster than Python, it often means that you have to wait 2 seconds instead of a second, or even a fraction of a second instead of half of that. Is it really worth it, considering you would probably spend more time in development and just in general learning C#? Because it's much harder to start because it's less forgiving than Python. Another big bonus for C# is when you write in C#, you need to compile your code. And it means that you can also protect your source code from the users, and that's a big point for the C# users. And lastly, you also get better debugging tools. You can set it up in Visual Studio for Revit API, but honestly, there is nothing wrong to execute Python, get an error message, and then fix it one by one until everything works. It's very quick and easy workflow, and I'm gonna show you that in action in the next lessons. But again, keep in mind that you can always switch to C# if you need to. Revit API and coding concepts mainly stay the same, it's just about the syntax and object-oriented programming that changes. But either way, whatever programming language you choose, I want to wish you happy coding, because you've already made the first step and you got interested in learning Revit API, and that's an important step. But still, I recommend you to get started with Python, because pyRevit is simply the best way to get started, and you will see why in the next lessons. But for now, I actually want to talk about why today is the best time to start coding. And you see, today you can get access to amazing free resources. You can get my ebooks, my pyRevit StarterKit, and there are even more tutorials than ever before. Then secondly, you get access to powerful AI assistants, which have reduced the barrier of entry so much that it gets very simple to get started. And lastly, you get access to tutorials and resources made by some bearded guy with an EF cap. And my name is Eric Fritz, and I will be your Revit API instructor during this course. You see, I'm completely self-taught, and I've started coding more than 5 years ago, and I had to spend countless evenings searching for simple answers on forums and blog posts. But you don't have to. I'll provide you all the necessary resources and teach you Revit API basics one step at a time. So it's a no-brainer, and it was never easier to get started than today. And I'm here to help you get started, because I know how it feels every step of the way. I'm completely self-taught. I started without knowing Python, without knowing Revit API, and I didn't have access to all the resources that you have today, especially ChatGPT, which is probably the biggest help you can get today. And now we're moving to the end of this lesson, and I want to talk about the next lesson. Because if you watched this far, then you're really interested in learning Revit API. And you wouldn't want to miss the next lesson for many reasons. Because we will jump straight into the practice, and everybody will create their own Revit extensions in less than 2 minutes. I know it sounds like an outright lie, but I will literally set the timer on the screen and show you step by step how to do that, and you can easily follow along. It cannot be any simpler than that. And now I have a little homework for you. I want you to write in the community or the comments below the video, depending where you watch, what is your biggest Revit API challenge? And I hope I'm gonna help you solve it, because it really helps me understand where you are in your journey and what stops you to moving forward, and I can make more content about this. And lastly, if you watched this far, congratulations. I wanna give you a few free resources which are gonna help you immensely on this journey. No matter if you join my paid course or watching this for free, you get access to my 2 most valuable resources to get started with Revit API. First of all, you get access to the Beginner's Guide to Revit API ebook. This 50-page ebook is gonna help you start your programming journey with Revit API while following the step-by-step roadmap. And there are lots of code examples and explanations, and you're gonna learn a lot. And secondly, you can download my EF pyRevit StarterKit, which is gonna help you create your extension in 2 minutes, provide all necessary resources, also provide you a lot of code samples, and a lot more. This is really the best way to get started with Revit API. And we're gonna need this StarterKit in the next lesson to create your own extension. Now, the download links for these 2 resources are gonna be somewhere under the video. And now I wanna wish you happy coding, and I'm gonna see you very soon in the next lesson, where we're gonna create your own extension in under 2 minutes. See you there. Goodbye.